Hello, welcome to Daily Work Remote Strategies with the coaches of Silicon Valley Change. I'm Senia Maymin. Today is Tanabata. Today is actually a holiday. It's a global holiday. It's celebrated a lot in Japan and some in China. It's called Tanabata. We're going to talk about it. Today's session is on magical stories that help you achieve goals. Why do I care about this? Why am I talking to you about magical stories? We know it's a little bit of a heavy time. We have a lot on our minds in terms of the work that we're doing, everything we're taking care of at home, things that are going on globally that are on our minds. Why this potentially flimsy topic of magical stories? Well, I might suggest to you that it's not that flimsy, that there may be something in magical stories that can actually help you achieve your goals. So to start, here's what we're doing today. We're going to talk about specific magical stories, but how they, not only what's cool about them, but how they lead to goal accomplishment for you, specifically for you. So to start, would you please in the comments let me know what are some fairy tales that come to your mind often? What is something that you're working on something and something comes into your mind? It could be Goldilocks. It could be one of those mystical stories. It could be a Disney story or a story that's been made into Disney. It could be anything. So let us know what are some of those fairy tales that come to your mind often. And I'll start with my own answers, and I'm looking forward to getting your comments as well. Please type your comments in so that we have your stories to already work with. And what I mean is, let's say you're working on something and you just think, oh, too hot, too cold, Goldilocks. Or you are thinking about something and you're thinking, all right, this is the way that I should have done it, the good way. This is the good way, this is the not good way. Sort of a story of where the character who's doing it well is doing it for the right purposes. So I'll listen to some of your stories and I'll start with some of mine. I think fairy tales are a big deal. I really like fairy tales. I believe, this is more of a personal note, I believe that I learned a lot about what I know about good and evil, right and wrong, a lot through fairy tales when I was a kid. I loved fairy tales. I wanted to hear them a lot. Not only fairy tales, but really just any books that you read or that you were to read. So some of the fairy tales that I had, there's a series, I was born in Russia, and there's a series of fairy tales that are kind of funny in the way they work. They work by this one girl who falls into a big well, and then she goes through and she's trying to help just find her brother. And in doing that, she needs to go by this apple tree, and the apple tree says, oh, little girl, will you please help me and take down some of these apples? They're already ripe. And even though she's in a rush, she'll take down those apples. And then she goes by and there's an oven just in the middle of a field. And it says, oh, little girl, would you please take out the bread? It's already cooked. So even though she's in a rush, she does that. And then there's a stream of water and she helps that too. So she's doing this even though she's rushed. And she saves things. I think she captures her brother in one version of the story, brings him back. And when she comes back, all of these pieces of gold descend on her and she's super happy. So somebody else sees this sort of in a bad-minded character and says, I'm going to do the same, and goes into the same world and runs through to try to solve the puzzle. And when this character walks by the apple tree says, oh, please help me and pick my apples. They're ripe. And she says, I don't have time for this. I'm going to keep going. When she walks by this oven, again, in an open field, how did this oven get there? That says, help me with these loaves of bread. They're ready. She's too busy. And with the riverbed, she's also so busy. And she comes out of this world and she's covered in soot. So she does not have the same reward. And I've read those kinds of stories. I've heard them. I've read them so many times that it sort of shows you things that you can do to help others, to help even if you are rushed or you have your own things going on. So that's a kind of story that's affected me. What stories have affected you? What's a story that's mattered? As you type in your stories, I'll do two things. One is I'll show you the specific story of today. Today is the 7th day of the 7th month. Welcome to Tanabata. I happen to love this holiday. I spent some time in Japan when I was in high school, and I was there during the summer. And it's rainy season. It's a little muggy outside. It's very mushiatsui, very hot and humid. But still, people make a wish on this holiday, on Tanabata, because of the story that comes with it. So I'll show you a short clip of what I recorded last year telling this story, and then I'll find out how can you use any story, whether you've heard it or you've made it up, in order to further your goals. So let me show you this story. Here we go. Enjoy. On the 7th day of the 7th month, if you make a wish and it's not raining where you are, then your wish could come true. What is this all about? This is the holiday Tanabata that falls on July 7th. This is not a ton of butter. And on this holiday, 3 cool things happen. One is you can make a wish. And the addition that my kids have suggested is that it should be a wish that you can work on. For example, I wish to do more hiking, or I wish to be a better ballerina. And this wish, what you do is you write down your wish either on colored paper like construction paper or on white paper with a colored marker, and you hang it up on a tree. So you hang your wish up, and you can take it down the same day, a few days later, but you hang it up, and that's what helps to make it come true, as long as it's not raining. Now, why do we care about as long as it's not raining? Because of the second cool part. There are 3 cool parts to this holiday. The first is that you get to make a wish. The second is that on this day, there is this amazing fable that I know from Japanese culture, but I've heard it also exists in Chinese culture. And in Japanese culture, it's a love story. On this day, there was a princess named Orihime, and she was the daughter of the sky god. And the sky god loved her weaving. She did incredible weaving. But one day she was looking down and she saw Hikoboshi. Hikoboshi was an ox herder. And so Orihime saw him and they fell in love and they started walking all over the world together. And the more that she did walking with him, the less that she did her amazing weaving of the clouds and the stars. And the sky god was so angry that he separated them completely. And Orihime could not see Hikoboshi except for one day, on July 7th, on the 7th day of the 7th month. And on that day, the story goes, and this goes to the third part, the cool part. On that day, Orihime, the third part is actually that she is a star in a galaxy. And Hikoboshi, he is a star in a different galaxy, and in a different constellation. And these 2 constellations are closest to each other right then in the middle of July. Now, what's amazing is that July 7th is right in the middle of rainy season in Japan, and still this holiday falls on July 7th. So what happens next? If these 2 stars are able to meet, what happens is that they cross the Milky Way. But the Milky Way is also considered to be a river. And if it rains on that day, then the Milky Way will overflow and they cannot get to each other on the one day that they can meet. But if it does not overflow, then Hikoboshi can get on a little boat, which is shaped like the crescent of the moon. It is the moon, and he gets on the moon crescent and he goes over to Orihime, and they meet on that one day of the year. And so you too can make a wish on that day. And like my kids say, a wish that you can work on. And if it doesn't rain, maybe your wish will come true. Write down your wish, hang it up on a tree, and enjoy. Happy Tanabata. So, hello everyone. Hi, I'm back. What do you think of that story? It might be your first time hearing it. What do you think of that story? I loved it when I heard it. I love the connection to making a wish. I thought it was so fanciful and fun. What do you think of that story? As we sit with that story, we think about, oh, you can make a wish on it. So what is a wish that you could make? Today really is Tanabata. I'm recording this for you on Tanabata. What is a wish that you could make today about something that you can work on? So I could do more writing and publishing of children's books. I could do more development of business. I could get my house cleaner. These are all wishes that I can work on. So they're things that I want, but they're also things that I can work on. What is something, a wish that you can make that you can also work on? And now let's get a little meta as you think about what is yours. Here's what some of you are saying. You're saying you haven't heard this story before, but it seems very sweet. Thank you. And another one of you is saying Cinderella is a story that you think of from time to time, but only when you're cleaning up after the many children that live at your house. I get it. I get it. As you think of what is the wish you could make today, I want to make that connection between, look, here is a whimsical way of thinking about the world, which is, let's say, Cinderella. or The Three Little Pigs. Talk about a story of planning and forethought and that organizational brain. Mandy, who's on the call today, she has that. She has that, the one who plans his house, who actually builds it. So that's another one of those stories. Think about one of these whimsical, fun, enjoyable stories that are in your head, and think about how you can draw a more concrete connection to it. In this case, it's a wish. And literally what you do is you write down your wish on a piece of paper, like construction paper, it could be white paper. You fold that up and you tie that to a branch on a tree. And I usually take it down the next day, but you leave it there and you just kind of think, all right, that's my wish that I can work on. So what I would like to leave you with today is, what is something that you can think of in a fanciful way, like Cinderella, like Tanabata, like The Three Little Pigs, that you can say, hey, this actually does apply to me in some way. And the reason I'm asking this and saying this is my PhD thesis was on flimsy frameworks that make a difference. A flimsy framework is something that's not thorough and serious and that you have to kind of sit yourself down and do. It's one of those things that's whimsical, fun, flighty, enjoyable, that you can actually tie a goal towards, or tie the enjoyment of a goal towards. So with that, we're delighted to see you. We're back tomorrow, and I'll actually post this separately on my LinkedIn. Tomorrow we have Allison Holzer talking to us about inspiration. She's the co-author of a phenomenal book on inspiration. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and every day, 11 a.m. Pacific for 20 minutes. Looking forward to seeing you again. All the best. Happy Tanabata. Go outside, go to a tree. Happy, happy Tanabata to you. All the best.